What? Unannounced. Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yeah. We go.
I said, Brian, I'm down. I was like, yeah, you want to put that down? Oh, yeah, sure. So, and I just turned the track like this. Oh, okay. I was at it side.
Check.
Pulling strings while on strike, bro. Pulling strings while on strike. Not in any store. Not in Target, Walmart, Stop and Shop.
You know, like, who did I buy Pop Tart from? All the cereals and
They were like 15 Pop Tarts. Maybe, yeah, Pop Tarts. None of the cereals, none of the Pop Tarts. That was like all there. Pop Tarts. There was none for like 6 months. Wife on the way home.
WND1 Radio.
I would like to introduce.
Okay, let's go.
New Sports New Online Radio Station. WND1 Radio broadcasting live 24/7. All music genres. WND1 Radio. Your urban music link.
Welcome to WMB1 Radio and Straight to the Point Sports, where we're here on this Thursday night, and I am flagged by my regulars, Derek Consatio and Steve Lowe's.
What up, everybody? What's up, people?
What's going on? So we know that there's a lot of sports news, and as you know, it is the season. 'Tis the season where soon all four major sports will be clashing into each other. So we're gonna have a lot of sports info to talk about, and it's going to be coming fast and furious. Today, specifically, we're going to talk about the NBA and the trades that have been taking place that are going to fortunately shape the season for somebody in a positive way. Obviously, we knew last week about Dame, but that was a ripple effect because, in turn, Drew Holiday was traded away, and obviously Portland didn't want to keep him, so they traded him to Boston, and it's kind of created a ripple effect. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about the NBA trades. Also, we'll do a comparison and a contrast as to who actually got the better of the deal. Was it Boston, or was it Boston, or was it Milwaukee? Who's going to be the better team? All right, we'll talk about that. Also, we'll talk about, obviously we got to talk about the NFL, right? Got to talk about the NFL. So we'll do a review of Week 4, and we'll look forward to Week 5. Some key games, key injuries, key people coming back. There's a lot of things that are going to take place in Week 5. Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Canelo Chalo. I don't know if you could, if you want to call it a fight.
What are you going to talk about?
The shadow boxing?
That shit was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It was supposed to be a fight, and it turned out to be a running around game.
Hey, just Chalo's comments at the end of the fight was
I didn't get knocked
awful.
out.
Yeah,
That's like he was happy that he didn't get knocked out. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
Knocked out when you're running off all night.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for him. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as well. And possible upcoming fighters for Canelo, who he may have in line, because as we know, he's got one more fight left, or is it two more fights? I'm not sure.
The first of his 3-fight, $150 million deal, right?
I'm not sure. He's been going through those contracts pretty quick. The one good thing about him is he's been staying active.
He's active. That's one thing about him.
Yeah. Also, we can, if time permitting, we can talk Major League Baseball playoffs. So we know all the wild cards pretty much done.
Everybody got swept.
Everybody got swept. So we're moving on to the divisional round. And that's all set to go too as well. So we'll talk about that time permitting. All right. We're going to set it off with NBA trades. As you know, phone lines are open, 774-425-2631. Call in at your leisure if you want to ask something, if you want to chime in about something, or you just want to bring up your own subject, whatever the case may be. All right. So as we know, like we said last week, Dame Lillard, he was the one piece that started all the action going. All right, so we know he got traded to Milwaukee, to the Blazers. He got traded to Milwaukee. The Blazers got Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara. The Bucks 2009 first round. It's unprotected, and swap rights on the Bucks 2028 and 2030 pick. That's a long time from now, but it is what it is. Phoenix receives Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Kenyon Johnson. All right, so we knew that happened last. It happened last Thursday. This guy had a Bucks jersey on and was really happy. You don't have one on today.
Yeah, wear it every week, but
He gave up on his Vikings last
so I got purple on today.
Oh yeah,
and I win.
Yeah, you get your one win. All right, so that started a snowball effect. Ultimately, what happened? The Blazers, we knew that they were going to that there was going to be a tumble effect. Yeah, so they flipped Drew Holiday to Boston. All right. So the Blazers in return received Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, Golden State's 2024 first round pick from a prior trade, and Boston's 2029 first round pick. Um, all right, can we look at the Boston trade? All right, we'll stop by, obviously dissecting what they got. They got Drew Holiday.
You got a lot.
All right,
Both ends.
they got Drew Holiday, which in turn is, when you look at it defensively, right? He's pretty much on the same level of a Marcus Smart, when it comes to defense, with the exception that he adds more offense. He's a better shooter. I think he makes better decisions,
Better shots.
and he doesn't.
He's not going to take those bad shots.
He
knows his role.
Yes, exactly, and he doesn't force. He doesn't force a lot of things. That's the one good thing we could say with Drew. On the flip side, I will say that Boston got.
I think they gave up
They,
too much.
I think they gave up too much too. They gave up. They gave up six man of the year award winner for last year, which was Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
In addition to that, they gave up a rim protector, a rim runner, in Robert Williams. Now, the knock against Robert Williams is the last 3 years he has not been healthy.
Same thing with Brogdon.
But yes,
But one of them years the Celtics rushed Williams back too soon.
well,
he wanted to come.
He wanted to come back. Yeah. It's all on the player. I found it kind of funny when the year that they went to the finals that he would come back so quickly from a procedure. He was only a little over a month removed from his procedure, and he decided to come back and join the Celtics in the playoff run, ultimately, where they lost to Golden State. But if we look at that more in depth, you look at Boston, they become significantly smaller now. Rob was their rim protector.
They don't
you
have
could
that
do
anymore.
Exactly. You can do a lot of things with a rim protector. You could take chances knowing that you got that big back there, and yes, and he's going to be there, and he has your back. And this is not the case now for the Celtics. They definitely lost a lot. Now you've got Al Horford, who is going to be 38.
He's 37 now.
He's going to be 38 this year at some point, sometime. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just not the same for me. Come February, March, his knees are usually tapped out.
Well, if he stays on the 3-point line, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a difference anyway. At 38, he doesn't.
He's going to play defense.
That's right. You still got to get up and down the court.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. And now we look at Porzingis. Porzingis isn't known to be a shot blocker. And most importantly, the last 4 seasons he's only been healthy once. All right. So now you're depending on a 38-year-old.
He'll be 38 in June.
Yes, you're depending on a 38-year-older, going soon to be 38, and a guy who there's a lot of question marks about his ability to stay on the court. So I think there's a lot of things that the Celtics are going to have to rethink, and moving forward. They're definitely going to have to make another move to get another big. I would not hang my hat on those two individuals moving forward. Looking on the bench, they have Luke Cornett, who is, he's a big body who can come in and spell someone, but to have him in there in key moments, no, I would not.
He's not going to give you 28 minutes.
No. He's a 15 to 17 minute starter. On occasion, you can put him in there for a game or two, depending on the talent that you have at center. I wouldn't put him in there against Embiid. I wouldn't put him in there against Jokic. I wouldn't put him in there against Davis, guys like that. So yeah, you can pick and choose where you're going to use him, but still yet not having someone with the talent of a Rob Williams, who's going to always be there and always contest. Not only that, it's having the ability to run the rim too. You just throw the ball up there, he's going to go get it. They don't have that athleticism anymore. It's just Al's, like I said, Al's too old, and Porzingis seems he sits out on a 3-point line. You can't be that big and just waste your talent. Basically you're chopping yourself off at the knees.
And he got to stay healthy.
Exactly.
He doesn't stay healthy.
Last 4 years, one healthy season. All right. So that remains to be seen. All right. So looking at that, with that being said, all right, who do you think got the better deal? Who do you think has the advantage?
Well, seeing I'm familiar with Drew Holiday, I'm going to start off by saying I hated seeing him get traded back to Boston. When he went out to Portland, I was like, okay, good. We won't see him because he's a difference maker. He's a good team chemistry guy. He's a good guy. He brings everything positive to our biggest competitor in the East. And he's intimately aware of everything that goes on in the Milwaukee organization. So he'll know the strengths and weaknesses of those guys. So when he's guarding them, he'll know how to shut down a Chris Middleton, what he doesn't like, how to get under his skin, how to make him be uncomfortable. He can play Dame. He can play a 1, a 2, and a 3. And Milwaukee, when they match up with Boston, might have to change their whole offensive approach because he already knows the offense. See something familiar? Be tipping people off. Big pickup for Boston because I think it replaces everything Smart gave you and for everything you mentioned, plus the offensive stuff, the better shot selection. He'll be just as much a leader as Smart was, but that's huge for you guys. But because you had to give up Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon, yeah, they're hurt a lot, but when they're there, they're effective.
It weakens up their bench.
It does. The bench just got a lot thinner. They got 6 people because now White, if you go big, will be a 6th guy.
White's going to stop.
Who's going to stop?
Well, if he starts, then who's the 6th guy?
That's the point.
Because
that's the problem.
I saw Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday.
Horford will be
and Horford. Yeah. So that leaves White out of the mix.
No, White's going to stop. I think Horford's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Who's going to rebound?
Porzingis.
By himself?
Yeah.
Because those other guys are more 3 players.
And this is why I say they got significantly smaller. They need to go out and make a move. That was pretty much my whole.
Is there anybody else off that bench that we didn't mention past those 6 that you trust being in the everyday rotation?
No.
So they went from an 8-man rotation to a 6-man rotation. They got a great 6 if they stay healthy. I don't trust Porzingis being healthy.
That's why they got to go out and like try and find like a Cousins or something.
Well, that's why I was going to bring up that might be available. He's a little long in the tooth, but he might be a stopgap.
He's that guy that's going to try to be the rim protector.
Or they can get Willie Cauley-Stein, who they liked coming out of college, but he's playing overseas right now. If they can get him back, they don't need him to score. They just need him to block shots, protect the rim, and rebound.
What was kind of head scratching to me, and I know it came a little later on, but when I watched and I was watching free agent movements even before the trade, I thought the Celtics should have went out and made an offer for what's his name that was playing over in China, Dwight Howard. I thought they should have went out.
Signed with Golden State.
Yes, he's good to go with Golden State. He's going to end up signing there. I would have made a play for him solely on the fact that when he comes in, typically he brings in high energy. He's able to guard still at a high level, and rebound. Yes, and that's what you need. You need somebody that's going to come in, and on occasion he could be that gapper. Someone gets hurt, yeah, he could come in and he can stop. He's experienced. We're not asking you to give us the Dwight Howard MVP. When he played at Orlando. No, we're not asking that. We're asking for the same Dwight Howard who won a championship to help win a championship 2 years ago. Somebody who's going to come in and give you close to 10 and 10. That's what he was doing with a block and a half, 2 blocks. That's what he's capable of doing. I'm just kind of shocked that more people didn't make plays for him. I know he went over and he played in China. I don't know if if he were expecting more money, or what the deal was. But I'm kind, I'm kind of shocked and taken back that no one.
There's got to be something behind the scenes that people don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like I said, whatever the case is, it's mind boggling. It's mind boggling to me. So, but yeah, Boston becomes very, very, very small in not having, in the way of size. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They have to obviously go and do something. Um, you can't be done at this point. I mean, let's face it. There's always sellers. Some a team that uh, you expect to excel is probably going to not do it and may become an early seller. So you got to look at that. You got to look at some guys that are playing overseas as well, and then you can go from there. But in my eyes, I think that Milwaukee makes out a little better because they didn't lose anybody who was core. I don't think Grayson Allen. No, he's not core.
They just lost Ben Smith.
Yeah, and you can always go out and you can get that. You can go out and get that. That's what I mean by core. Robert Williams was core. He was a starter. So not only a starter, he was the backbone of their defense. I think Milwaukee right now is probably a little ahead, but it remains to be seen, in what they can do and moving forward, in the way of either somebody opting out of their contract, being bought out, or via trade. There's still a lot going on. Anyone else's thoughts on that?
Well, the other thing I think I don't like about the deal as much for Boston, I still think Drew Holiday is a great addition, but they're left very thin. But they have addressed having anybody with a down low presence. They still are trying to play perimeter ball. And to me, that's what led to their downfall last year. They weren't as dedicated on defense as when Ime was the coach. And they're all on the perimeter. You traded anybody that has any presence down. So everybody said that was their problem. And all you did was get more people that fit that mold.
They wanted the head coach wanted at least 53 taking a game. That's crazy.
Well, if it doesn't work this year, he should be fired as soon as possible, because you could see that developing last year, and that was their downfall in the playoffs, too reliant on the three.
Yep.
Now you get rid of a big core of it, and you bring in a Porzingis, who's a big three-point shooting big man, doesn't play down low in the post. You get rid of Robert Williams, your defensive presence in the post. So everything's going to be a perimeter game, and I don't know how they're going to defend properly. And you only got a six-man rotation right now. Oh, wait, you got Kevin Pritchard.
But he's not.
He's a small.
Hey, man, he's still there.
No, he's going to see a little more time because
he cleared out the guard rotation.
He's going to see a little more time.
No Brogdon.
Between him and Hauser, depending on who they play against.
He hurt you on defense.
This is what I just said. Depending on who he plays against.
Are they going to bring up that kid from Alabama with the hair?
Yeah,
No.
He was up last year. It's just a learning process for him. So what you're gonna see is you'll see him in spurts, but next year will be his year where he'll be up, because you figure another year they got to make a decision on him. Yeah. All right, so that's the case with him. He'll bounce back and forth between the G League and with the Celtics, but and moving forward, he won't be a major part of their team unless there's injuries. But they're gonna lean on Pritchard and Hauser to come in and I mean they've been there. So Hauser's been there 2 years. He had a breakout year last year. He shot the 3-pointer extremely well and was very efficient. Pritchard, he was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. It was one of those things. I don't know. I don't think he was, I don't think he necessarily fit what the coach wanted to do.
Yeah.
because you see his playing time diminish when Ime was there. Ime played him more. And the coach that they have now, he doesn't seem to play him as much. So we'll see.
Which I find kind of odd, because if you Pritchard is considered a 3-point shooter, and you want your team to shoot threes, why would you not play him more?
I don't know. It's
'Cause he's a liability on
it's
defense.
but who cares? I mean, they've showed that they've chosen outside shooting and
Over.
lack of size for shooting. And for me, they from what we were used to the last 4 to 5 years, it was more defensively. The Celtics were more defensive minded, and anything that came off of that was a bonus. You could see with the maturity that the Jays had, that you could see it offensively and defensively. You could see them growing. But the problem is, um, just as they're growing, there's other super teams and other players that are coming up.
Yep.
So now this is what you got to contend with. Like I said, when you play against someone, and let's just look at it, right? Let's take the Bucks and take the Celtics. All right. So you start off with your point guards. You more than likely have White in against Lillard. All right. Then you go up from there. Now you're gonna have Drew against who? Who's your
I
shooting
don't
guard?
know. Middleton's going to play off guard or small forward.
Um,
But Pat Connaughton's been rumored to be the starting off guard right now.
all right.
Middleton being
So
down low.
then you got Connaughton and against Drew. Then we move up. So now you go to shooting guards. You've got JB and you've got Middleton. Then you go to your four spots. Now you're talking Tatum and Giannis. Now your five spots, you're talking Brook Lopez and Porzingis. So it's when you look at it from that, the size gets increasingly, So you've got one guy that's probably 3, maybe 4 inches bigger, and then how big is Lopez? What is he?
He's 7 feet.
He's 7 feet. So Porzingis got him, but
Solid.
he's 7 feet. But the thing is, if he goes down low, he's going to be able to. He's going to. But that's the thing with him too. You can never tell. He loves sitting on that 3-point line.
Yeah.
But it's just it just goes to show you. I mean, you could take the Celtics and then put the Celtics against somebody like the Lakers, who, for all intents and purposes, they've gotten even bigger.
Yeah.
And it's not just getting bigger; it's getting more athletic, more athletically inclined around the basket. And I think in that case, the Celtics getting rid of Robert Williams, you lose that ability to pick and roll and dive, and run the rim with him. But yeah, I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. It's just one of those things. But it remains to be seen. It makes for an exciting prelude to what's going to be happening in 2 weeks. As Barry said, 3 weeks from tonight, 76ers versus Bucks. All right. So we're well, under a month. And it remains to be seen as to who. I don't even know who the Celtics open up against. But it remains to be seen, who eventually will end up being the better team. It doesn't make a difference. I think those teams still will be in the 1 and 2 slots. Interchangeable. Yeah, interchangeable. Miami has done nothing to improve their status, and they lost. Oh yeah, they lost 2 guys, 2 of their mainstay guys.
Subs.
Yes. So and Philly hasn't done anything.
Open up against the Knicks.
Against the Knicks, that's that'll be a good test. But Philly hasn't done much to help their
And
their
a
situation.
disgruntled James Harden.
Yes, it's just
You think
And a new
He'll
coach.
be on that team by opening day.
Yep.
he has no
Because
choice.
he'll have no time to adjust. If you're going to trade him, you might as well trade him mid-season or something. Because
But the
he
thing
knows
is,
Philly,
they have no choice now. He has no choice.
he reported.
He had to. He was getting fined. So the thing with him, did you read the article in which they released? So he
Him possibly getting traded until he made the comment.
yes to
Yeah,
Ime.
listen.
Oh, I'm so excited. I want to come here and win a scoring title. They were like,
That's isolating all the young talent.
put the brakes on.
That's not what Ime's all about.
Yeah, no. And so once he opened his mouth and he said that, they did a 180. They were like, nah, we're good with you, bro. You can go back to Philly and do that. We're not trying to, we've got young talent that we're trying to develop here. We don't want you dribbling for, 20 seconds and then, trying to pass the ball. We want a move the ball, and we want to develop these young kids. Rightfully so. James Harden, let's face it, if he has 3-4 years left, he can play at a high level, but the thing with him is he's pricing himself out. He's pricing himself. Listen, he's played himself out. Now he's pricing himself out. And, your best available option right now is to basically stick with the Sixers, see what comes up for a trade, and hope it's one of the teams that, were on your wish list.
Does he have a no trade clause?
I don't think he has a no trade clause.
Who's this, Harden?
Harden. I think he lost that as one of his power pieces. I don't think he had that. But now you just gotta wait. You gotta wait. You gotta wait things out. So Barry's saying that they got Kelly Oubre. He's to me, 20 last season for.
He's not going to get the ball from Harden.
Exactly. He's averaging 20. He averaged 20 on a pretty much a bad team, which is no problem. But I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get those same
third
looks.
option is going to be Maxey.
Yes.
Then if Oubre he's fourth option at best, but I'm not even sure he's fourth option because I can't think of somebody else they got on that.
Do you think
Harris? They still got Harris, Tobias Harris.
Do you think Oubre gets 10 shots a game?
He's coming off the bench.
I don't even think he gets 10 shots a game.
It's going to be hard.
His best asset would if he buckles down and he's that 3-and-D guy. If he can come in and be a stopper and just hit the wide open three, because he'll be the guy left open. We know Embiid's option one. You got Harden, you got Maxey. There's not going to be any run offense for a Kelly Oubre.
And they also got Barry. Do you guys still have Shake Milton and what's the other kid's name? They're both good shooters. And like, is he really that much of an upgrade over them? I don't know. I would tend to say no, but I mean, it adds. It doesn't hurt. It adds to your depth, which is good. But to say that he's going to change the landscape of the team, where there's a reason why he's been on 4 teams in 5 years or whatever it's been. If he were that guy, then he wouldn't be flopping from team to team to team every year. But he's just that guy that's just good enough to be in the rotation. You go to a bad team and you become the guy. You go to a good team and you just kind of you're right above the radar. Yeah. So that's it with him. So I mean, the East, Miami hasn't done anything.
No bench.
They've been depleted. They're gonna make move. They're gonna make a move because
who's available?
They've got
who are they gonna get?
They've got money. They've got money to use. So they can make some moves. They're just gonna have to watch and wait to see how the season pans out. Who is so you got the Knicks? Did the Knicks do anything? I don't believe the Knicks. I don't believe they did anything. Nate Victor, where you at? Chago, where you at? But yeah, so it remains to be seen. Who's going to be the winner of the Bucks or the Celtics?
There's an extension of that trade that I'd like to discuss. both those clubs made those major trades because of Portland.
Yeah.
How do you like what Portland's doing to reshape their team?
I think Portland's doing they're going to be better. I think.
I think they'll be comparable to Houston with all that young
They're
talent.
going to be deep.
They'll actually be younger than Houston. But do they still have Jeremy Grant, or did he leave? I thought he might have got offered a big contract in the offseason for free agent. Because if he's still there, he can be their main scorer. The two guards, Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp. And then they got the guy we couldn't think of that was left behind with the Dame Lillard trade that replaced McCollum. He's a scoring guy.
Yeah,
Simmons, Anthony
Simmons. Simons, yeah.
Simons.
No, Grant's still there.
All right. So Grant, I think, will be their leading scorer. Because he's how big? And he's a playmaking forward.
He's about 6'8", 6'9".
And he does a little bit of everything. So he could be their main scorer. You can let your guards develop and get that. I just think Shaden Sharp will be the sixth man because I think Anthony Simons is definitely the lead off guard. And then you got Scoot Henderson coming in at point.
He's 6'8".
And then you got Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton. So you're pretty set on your defense. And Ayton wanted to be more of an option. He'll be the first or second option. No, he'll be the second option to Jeremy Grant. Or maybe third. Wait a minute, because they got Simon. Simon's averaged 20-something.
He's going to be that number one option.
He's going to be that number one.
So then Grant and Ayton. But I like how young they are. When the old man on that team is Jeremy Grant, and he's not that old.
He's 29.
Yeah, he's the old man on that team.
Yeah, the thing.
Him and then Simons. But Simons came out after high school, so he might still be young.
The thing that's going to hurt them is being in the West, where the West is pretty stout.
Yeah, but they're starting to build what looks like a future. If they keep adding pieces, if they keep those pieces together in Portland, and they got another flippable piece. Brogdon's not staying.
No,
I'm expecting Brogdon to get traded before the season starts for either more draft picks or another piece.
Simons is 24.
Yeah, he's young.
He came right out of high school. That's why. He just seems like he's been there longer.
No, he's young.
So what, I don't know what else to add, but do any of you think that Brogdon's going to be there?
No, Brogdon is just like how Drew was.
Flippable piece.
They figure out flipping him. I mean, he's coming off of we don't know what, the extent of his elbow, what's going on.
Elbow, knee.
We don't know. So
they have Thibault over there for a small forward who's not a bad piece.
He's defensive.
That's right.
He's defensive. He's a defensive guy.
Yeah,
he can't. Yeah, no, I'm just saying he's a defensive guy because he can't shoot.
I think they need
That's the reason why Philly flipped him.
Small forward now. Like I don't know if he's considered a small forward. He's kind of big. I think Derek said 6'9".
I got Grant at 6'8", power forward, but he's athletic enough to go play small forward.
Yeah, they don't have to win right away. Nobody's expecting Portland to win right away. I think there'll be a tough out from Christmas on because they're gonna have growing pains at the beginning. A bunch of young players, unless they lean on. I don't think Ayton's the type that can carry an offense. Simons has shown he can, but I think that when they start gelling and learning their roles, and whoever they flip Brogdon for by the turn of the year, I think the second half of the year there'll be a tough team that nobody wants to look forward to playing.
Yeah, no doubt. They've got a lot of pieces. It's just a matter of them getting together and gelling. Like I said, they're just in a lot of good pieces, but a lot of good teams in the West. So you think about it, we started naming them, right? So you got Denver, you got Sacramento,
Memphis.
You got Memphis.
How about that other team that was in that draft that got what they lost? They got depth on the bench. Phoenix.
You got Phoenix. You got all these teams that are and let's not forget you have teams like OKC who has a million draft picks.
Got young talent.
So all these teams, they're all going in the next 2 to 3 years. Those are going to be the teams to watch. You seem to forget about them because they took on a lot of
draft picks for days.
They took on a lot of expiring contracts, a lot of things. And what's ultimately what's going to end up happening is, you forget about them. then they start hitting with these draft picks, and before you know it, they're gonna be right there. They're gonna be right there, and at the point where okay, they're gonna be the new kid on the block, and before you know it, they're gonna be competing. Like I said, 2 to 3
That
years.
Sacramento dude.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yep. And then last year, we all thought Utah was going to suck. And for the first half of the year, they were one of the surprise teams in the league.
They were first for a while.
I don't know if they added somebody, but Lauri Markkanen looks like he found a home to really thrive out there. They got a lot of young talent over there, too.
I wish that kid did that in Chicago.
He was hurt.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to showcase. He just stayed healthy last year, and he flourished. But I don't know who Utah. I think they added a guard in the draft, but they got assets too because of that deal with trading the big man Gobert to Minnesota. They got Minnesota's #1 draft picks for like the next 27 years because of that.
Yeah.
I just know they got draft picks for like 5 years in a row. It's like that's what everybody thought. You're gonna get 5 #1s because Minnesota was dumb enough to give it. No, that's a dumb move. Nobody else is following suit in that.
Yeah, that was stupid. I mean, we're forgetting, the likes of, I rattled off like the first 4 that came to mind. You're talking about Dallas, Phoenix, with the addition of Washington. Yeah, Bradley Beal. So there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of those Western teams have big threes. A lot of them have big threes, and not only are they big threes, they're seasoned veteran big threes.
And didn't Phoenix get some depth by getting rid of Ayton?
Yes,
they got like 4 players that can play off the bench.
They got that kid from Duke that everybody hates, but he's solid.
Grayson Allen.
Yeah,
he can come in and play. But they also got I just can't think of. I think they got 4 dudes, and
they got
like
they got
Yusuf Nurkic.
He's going to stop. Because he doesn't require the ball.
Nasir Little and Kenyon Johnson.
Nasir Little was real good coming out of North
Carolina. And Keon Johnson.
I remember what Keon Johnson's game was. That's not the dude that played in the Olympics.
He's no. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's I believe he's 6'7", 6'7", 6'7".
In San Antonio there.
No, the kid from San Antonio, they're not trading him. He's not going anywhere.
No, it's just when I heard the name Keon Johnson, it kind of made me think of that guy.
No.
They got depth now.
Well, that's what they needed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they needed. We witnessed when CP3 got hurt, they didn't have depth because they traded away all their depth.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of tough to recoup when you make that trade at the end of the year. Basically, they had a month. They basically had a month, and he got hurt. So now it's like, whoa, But yeah. So now, I mean, the West is stacked.
And we didn't even mention Golden State.
No, I know we didn't.
They're going to add Dwight Howard.
Hold on, Eric Gordon on that Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, he was over on the original trade.
I don't know how Bol is going to be, but he's a 7'2" big man. That block
He's
shot.
A talented big man.
Nasir Little is 6'5". He's a 6'5"
one of those
small
guys.
forward.
All it takes is one of those guys to emerge.
Who was the last kid that we were talking about?
Keon Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about
Keon Johnson. Keon Johnson.
Yeah, he's not on this.
No, he just that's because he just got traded, so he probably has to.
I'm sorry, he's a 6'3" shooting guard.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about someone else.
Tennessee.
So breaking news: Dick Butkus just has passed. Dick Butkus, 80 years old.
Yeah.
80 years old. 80 years old. He just passed. In a statement released through the Bears Butkus family, said he died peacefully in his sleep overnight at his home in Malibu, California. All right, before we move on, anything else you'd like to address NBA related?
Well, just one question. I'm looking at the screen, and you have the question: did Boston give up too much?
Yeah.
We talked around it, but do you think they gave up too much?
Yeah.
Because of the depth problems in the defense.
Yep. I thought that they gave up too much. I would have maybe thrown in. I don't know if I would have thrown in another number one. Maybe I would have. I know you have to make the salaries match and all that other stuff, but For me, giving up Rob, and he's on a very player-friendly contract for the next 2 years.
And I thought he signed it thinking he was going to stay with the Celtics. That's why he was like, all right, just to stay here.
Yes. So you had a guy who was low money. His ceiling was pretty high, but his only downfall was the last pretty much 2 years he's been injured with the knee. So we don't know. We just got to wait to see how things play. But for my take is I thought they gave up too much. The 2029 first round pick, no one really thinks of that right now. It's 2023. So we're not going to be looking back and saying, oh my God, this is they got the next LeBron James. Who would have known? You know what I'm saying? No one's thinking that far down the line.
Yeah.
They're thinking for the here and now because they think they're on the crest of something good. So they're taking a chance.
And I thought they were going to free up some money until I looked at the contracts. It's Drew Holiday makes just under $37 million a year. That's what Rob Williams and Malcolm Brogdon made together.
Yeah.
So the money is equal. So they didn't free up no money.
No.
By getting rid of those contracts.
That's why I
said. And then Porzingis' money is crazy.
Yeah. That's why I said they had to the money had to match, and the perk was the first round draft pick. But in my opinion, I think that by giving up Williams, I would have potted with Brogdon, in the draft pick. But for me, Williams was the one young guy that could, give people fits on the back end. They don't have that now. They don't have that now. Now it's going to put pressure on both of the Jays now to keep people in front of them, not take any chances, because you don't have that on the back end anymore.
They're gonna play both ends of the court.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
I think they're capable of being better defensive players than what they're showing us.
I think Tatum, in the last 2 years has made leaps and bounds. Brown is a pretty good anticipator and stealing. He's always amongst the league leaders in steals. But it has to go up that much more between the both of them now. It's for the loss of Williams. There's no other ways of looking around it unless they go out and get themselves. They find themselves someone overseas that is going to be an eye opener that no one else witnessed. But yeah, to answer the question, yeah, I think they gave up too much.
And then how you got who makes out better. When I'll answer that, when I find out who does the better coaching job, Mazzulla or Adrian Griffin, because we got a brand new coach in Milwaukee, and I don't know what system he's going to bring and how players are going to react to him. He's been an assistant for a long time, but it's an unknown, and he's got to deal with keeping Giannis happy and figuring Dame Lillard happy. He didn't come there to just be a tag along. He wants to be involved in the offense. So I think whoever does the better coaching job. And Boston hid some of that weaknesses by hiring 2 top assistants. So they'll kind of guide Mazzulla. But that's the area that I think is a gray area. Whoever does the best coaching job will win that trade.
Yeah. Like I said, I believe Milwaukee is just a little bit above Boston. But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if throughout the season that they flip-flopped first and second place. Because I still think that they're the cream of the crop, even though Boston lost last year to Miami and Milwaukee. I just think that was one of those things where the team was hot and I don't think it if they played 5 series of the best of 7, I think it would be 4-1. I just think that, last year they got on a roll. They did some things that at the end of the games that you just didn't see. And, they were on a roll until they got to the finals. And then once they got in the finals, reality just kicked in.
They were shooting out of rat. They were shooting out of their ass.
Yes, exactly.
Conference playoffs.
To the whole playoffs.
Yeah, the whole thing. And then when
Just
they got to the finals, that's when it.
let's just call it for what it is. Did you ever see a team shoot the way they did, especially against Milwaukee when they had that comeback? And then you had and then you had Jimmy have that shot at the end. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They were on the good luck charm of that end, and I don't foresee it, playing itself over again. Nah. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm not buying it. All right, so we'll move on to the NFL recap of week 4. All right. So we need to start off with the Miami and Buffalo game, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was really high on Miami, and what did I say last week? I said they'll probably struggle to score 20 points, right? They scored 20 points. And they got blown up by 20.
Defense was good enough to hold them to 20. I thought Buffalo was capable of beating them, but I thought, they score a few more.
So this is the thing, right? And this was always my concern with Miami, even last year. All right, you can beat up on the really bad teams. You can score a lot of points on the bad teams, but once you play a good team and you get punched in the mouth, can you come back and can your defense hold a good offense?
And that's what we saw, because they had no trouble.
No.
I thought Miami's defense was decent.
No.
And they were missing their pass rusher there. Jalen, the guy Derek was talking about last week, the pass rusher, number 13. He
15.
Yeah, but Miami's got a solid defense, and Buffalo exposed it real bad.
Yeah.
They put up 40, right?
48.
Yeah.
48 to 20. So
go from scoring 70 to giving up almost 50.
To give you some numbers, Allen was 21 to 25 for 320 yards, 4 TDs. Stephon Diggs had 6 receptions for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. He just was abusing them. All right. Conversely, Waddle and Hill had less than 100 yards combined. So that tells you. 2 sacks 4 times, and he had an interception. So my thing is, Miami, we know that they could have a great offense. Where is their defense going to be? That was the same question last year. Scoring points at a high clip, let's face it, it kind of hides your deficiencies on defense when you make a team, one-dimensional, right? I mean, let's face it. If you're down by 21, what are you going to do?
You're going
to throw the ball. So it's in your favor. You've already won half the battle. You don't have to worry about running. You don't have to worry about play action. All right. Because let's face it, when you play action, you tuck that ball and you take it out. As a linebacker, your first step is to come forward.
Yep.
DB, same thing. Come forward. All right. So now you're at a disadvantage. You don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about is, okay, he's going to pass. All right. Am I going to be in a base defense? Am I going to be in a nickel? What prevent, whatever the case is. And when you're up by 20 points or you're up by 20, you can take a lot more chances. I mean, that's just it. And this is my thing with Miami. I wanted to wait and see until they played a really good team. And this was the first good team. Similar situation that's going to go on in Dallas. We'll talk about that later. But what happened, what I thought was going to happen, happened. I still think that Buffalo is the cream of the crop of that division. Even with, Allen making some bonehead plays, I just think that they're too good from top to bottom, offensively and defensively. So when you take the total team and you put it together, Buffalo, I believe, is the better team because of their defense. They play a good defense. They play collectively. They have some individuals that are good, but together they play well. collectively, and it didn't help. They lost Tre'Davious White. He's going to be
Out for
gone.
the year.
Yeah, Achilles.
Achilles tendon.
Achilles tendon.
Second time in 3 years. he's
Yes.
out for the year.
But yeah, so I just think that until I can see something in the way of a consistent defense, I'm not going to say that they're going to be anything. Because you look at the they've played 2 divisional games, right? They the Miami. They played the Patriots,
And
who they barely won,
Yep.
and Buffalo, who they no, I'm saying
Oh.
division and in the division.
Yeah.
The division games. They played Patriots, who they only beat by a touchdown, right?
something like that.
Yeah, those teams know each other.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It gets no better. I always say you start within your division and you work your way out. Because if you can't get out your division, you're not making it into the playoffs. All right. So you look at the 2 divisional games that they played. They played the Patriots, beat them by a touchdown, and they played Buffalo, and they got stomped. So it's just one of those things for me. Like, okay. And there's a chance that they can, once Buffalo goes to Miami, they could possibly do the same thing. But for me, it's the consistency thing. You can't beat someone by 50 points one week and then get beat by 28. The ebbs and flows.
It wasn't even a touchdown. They lost to the Patriots.
Who lost to the Patriots? No, they beat the Patriots.
No, week 3, Patriots beat them 15-10.
They beat the Patriots this year?
Patriots beat them.
Be who?
No. Patriot. No, I'm not
Oh.
talking about the Jets. I'm talking about Miami.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Talking about Miami. Miami beat New England. But yeah, so that's the thing for me, is to, on a consistent basis with Miami, with their defense.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, so Waddle and Hill combined less than 100 yards.
You don't expect both of them to have bad performances in the same game. They're both too explosive.
It's not bad performances. He couldn't get them the ball.
And as a result, when you play good
You don't
defense,
expect both of them to be non-effective.
yeah. I mean, he was sacked 4 times. He was pressured a lot too, and he had 1 pick. But this is what I'm talking about with the defense.
The pass routes, you don't have the time to throw deep. I would have hit them, slant
Well,
them, and let them try to create.
That'll be the game plan for the next game. But the thing is, too, you gotta be able to run. If you're not able to run and you're one-dimensional, then you're one-dimensional. That's like me playing against you, and I know one of your legs are hurt. Guess what? I'm gonna go on that leg all day. But we get back to it. To me, it's the defense. The defense needs to be able to stop a good team, not go touchdown for touchdown. At some point, you got to make stops. And I've never been sold on their defense. It was the same way last year. Everybody was all excited, when they were in that middle and they were scoring a lot of points, and everybody was excited. And I'm like, they're beating pretty much bummy teams. And sure enough, once they started to play the good teams, then the tide started to turn. And here we are again. Moving on. Should we be concerned about the Cincinnati Bengals?
You gotta be concerned. But Burrow came out this week saying he's felt the best he's felt all year.
Of course, he's going to say that.
It's still early enough. Yeah, but that division is not a runaway division where he's still, as long as they qualify for the playoffs and they're healthy.
If they lose this week, they're in the same boat as Minnesota.
Yeah, it'll
Pretty much.
It'll be. So we look at Cincinnati. They got blown out.
Yeah, they had a back
by Tennessee. By Tennessee.
20. They didn't even score a touchdown.
No. So for me, I don't know if they can keep, we did it last year, we did it the year before, and you can keep hanging your hat on that.
That's a different NFL this year, bro.
Yeah. And them not looking like, at least show some remnants of what they once were. Same thing. Chase less than 100 yards. All right. Burrow less than 200 yards. That's not going to cut it. And let's look at Tennessee for who they are. They're not considered a powerhouse, but Derrick Henry did have a great game. He would turn. I wouldn't say he looked like the old Derrick, but he did more than enough to keep the chains moving, and to keep them off, off center, and just to
He averaged
to-
5.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
That's
Well, yeah, he had 122 yards.
Yeah.
It wasn't 200 yards like he
No.
normally did, but it was what he was doing at a clip. They were staying ahead of the chains. That's what they were doing. And looking when you can get 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, you're winning. You're winning. You're winning the line of scrimmage. You're staying ahead of those chains. You got your whole playbook open to you when you can do 3rd and short, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, whatever the case is. But if let's just say they come, they looking at them next week. Let's just say that they come out, they lose again. I might be ready to raise the white flag for them, because I mean, I don't care if you look at, you're always going to have a fight on your hands when you play in your division. That is just the schematics of divisional play. I don't care. You could be the worst team, but yet you're going to put up the toughest fight, because you see that team 2 times a year. And I don't know. They'd have to run the gauntlet now.
all right. Listen to this. This is their next
Cincinnati.
games. Yeah, Cincinnati. They play at Cardinals. They should win that one.
I don't know. Brian might beg to differ.
It's all right.
Then-
I'm 3-1.
Then they got the Seahawks. That can go either way. But
Seahawks been playing all right.
then they got the 49ers.
Hmm.
Then they got the Bills.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
And then they got the new and improved, probably the most improved team right now, in the Texans.
Rookie quarterback with 300 yards in every game.
And then
Not
they got the
turning it over.
Bengals, Steelers, and Jaguars.
I thought we were talking about the Bengals.
Who,
Because you said the Bengals and the
the
Jaguars.
Ravens.
Oh,
The Ravens.
yeah.
The Ravens, Steelers, and Jaguars. That sounds like maybe 2 wins right there.
Yeah, it's tough. If they lose next week, I think it's time to throw up the white flag. I don't foresee them coming and running 8, 9 straight games.
Not with that. Not with this schedule. I don't.
No, and to boot, it seems like their offensive line has regressed again.
Well, they suffered the injury with the ex-Cowboy that went over there. He's gone.
Now, is it Collins? Was it?
Yeah, Lyle
Dale
Collins.
And I think somebody else is just not performing up to par. But they spent a lot of money revamping that line.
Yeah, after
Not this year,
after
last
the
year.
Super Bowl.
Yep. To protect Burrow, because remember we watched him get sacked how many times?
10 times.
9 times against
It was
Tennessee.
crazy.
10
And they
10
won,
times against
but he got
Tennessee,
beat
yeah.
up. You can't do that to your franchise.
Yeah, no. It's just it's asking too much to hang your hat on. Let's do what we did last year, and quite frankly, I don't think they can do it. I know the last 2 years they did it, but the injury bug didn't linger this long. Okay, it was like preseason, a game or 2, then okay, let's go. And what is it? A calf? Is it his calf?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's his plant foot too. So you think about it, every time he goes to go push off of it, you're at a huge disadvantage. So I don't know.
And it don't help that he gets hit all the time.
Yeah, exactly. With the offensive line, we said that.
Yep.
So I don't know. They lose next week. I know me. I
Like
might
a
just
fork
be,
in 'em.
But you know what's funny? You compared their season to Minnesota, which is pretty similar. 2 teams that were expected to win more and they're not. But I was frustrated. The news out of Minnesota yesterday, no plans to trade Kirk Cousins, which could be a smokescreen.
yes, it's a
so that
smoke
he
screen.
stays happy and plays.
No. Because what I tell you before, remember you were like, oh, we should just trade him now. No, you hold on to that last minute, because he gets more and more valuable to somebody else.
Well, I thought the Jets are running out of time because they need a rental for this year.
So either way, you know, I would say at by week 6 is when you're going to see a lot of interest being, you know, thrown your way.
And it won't be from the Jets because they'll be out of it by then.
And they're already talking about, we're going to ride with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, well, just think, right? So they're, what are they? 1-3?
They won their first
They won,
game.
yeah, they won their first game. They're 1-3. So I think they could still possibly, you know, one more loss, and then once you start with the 5 losses, you're pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
So I mean that can taint the trade, but you don't know within the next 3 weeks if a quarterback goes down.
Nope. We've already seen a slew of running backs and quarterbacks get hurt.
So
risky business every week.
You know, by them saying no plans, that is, listen, it's a no-brainer. All right, it's a no-brainer. You've got no guaranteed money next year. You go ahead and you get what you can get while you can get something for them. You just don't. Okay, let's just finish your contract out, and all right, see you later. Me, if I'm 1-5, you know, 1-6, 2-6, whatever it is, by the time that trade deadline goes, I'm here we go. 65, 75, 85, 95. Yep. First round. Yep. Second round. Yep. I got you. I'm trying to get something for you in return before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it only makes sense. Yeah. And if you're out of it, then he's out of it too. So if I'm out of it, you're going too. You can go somewhere else. I want something for you.
But
you know,
there was more uncertainty because of that remark, because our prized franchise player came out in response to that. It's been proven he was offered a contract making him the richest non-quarterback, and he turned it down. Not because of the money, because the uncertainty at quarterback. Doesn't want to stay all the money in the world. So it's telling me Justin Jefferson wants a chance to win. And that's how legacies are built. You can have all these great numbers and you don't win. Who cares? It's going to be like DeAndre Hopkins. You're not going to hear, oh, you're one of the best wide. If you don't win, you don't win. He said he's going to wait until the quarterback situation gets steadied before he signs. So now, if he's not happy with the way things are at the end of the year, he walks.
Yeah.
You know, and all the money in the world ain't going to change it. So they have to settle that quarterback position. Now they're going to start all over with try to go after a Caleb Williams, but the longer they wait, the harder it's going to be. Right now, they're the 5th team after 4 weeks in the draft. They can get a top 2 quarterback.
You heard what Caleb Williams said, right?
Yeah. He wants to play for
one of his teams.
Was Minnesota one of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know why? He wants to play with Jefferson and Hawkinson. I read 2 articles on that. 1 of 5 teams, and that was one of them. I don't think he mentioned Chicago, who has the 2 top picks as of right now.
No, it was
an LA
it
team
was
too.
it was Dallas was one of them.
Yep.
It was
somebody on the West Coast.
I thought it was San Fran, I think he said.
Yeah, that might have been it, because maybe he doesn't believe Purdy's the man for the future. And
I don't know.
But
I know Dallas was one, Minnesota was
a
one.
West Coast kid, you know.
But you did see, you know, I know we're off of topic right now, but he did say that he can probably earn just as much money in college with his NIL as he could as with a rookie contract. This is how the NIL deals are changing the landscape of
You're running the risk of getting hurt. Play another year in college. We don't know
these kids all have got huge.
He just
they've all
up another NIL.
They
sponsor.
all
That's why
they all
value
have
went up.
huge insurance deals going. All of them.
But I don't think it'll pay you what the running rate is.
No.
But a long-term contract.
Well,
it'll be enough to
just think about it, right?
The rest of your life.
But yeah, well, that's what it's all about.
You afloat in generational wealth are 2 totally different things.
Yeah, you know what's the difference between 10 million and 1 million? They're both $1 million, right? You know, if you play your cards right, you can use 1 million to make 10 million. You know, it's better than getting nothing. Like in the case of your guy, you know, you got to get something. Something's better than nothing. Nothing moving forward.
He didn't jump at the money. That tells me Justin Jefferson's really thinking about everything all together. It's not just I want to be the highest paid player and then be miserable.
Yeah, no.
That's
What?
DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee right now.
Yeah. Why would you and it's also what's his name for the Raiders? Why
Yeah,
would
Devontae Adams.
why
I
would
heard
you
his name coming up with Dallas.
yeah, why would you want to go to a place where you don't have a quarterback throwing the ball to you?
Yep.
Especially
Everything.
especially when you were accustomed to having a quarterback, then you shifted gears and you went to another team and your expectations were shot down by, either injury or lack of performance of a quarterback.
Caleb Williams, 5 teams: Cowboys, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, Niners.
Yeah. Okay.
So he had 2 West Coast teams.
Yes.
Because he knows he can play for the Raiders, no problem.
Yeah.
And San Fran's ready to win now.
Yep.
And I think he sees him being a long-term solution to Kirk Cousins. Like, Cousins ain't going to be around forever. So even if he sat for 1 year, actually he won't have to sit at all because Cousins is not going to get signed again.
All right. Another head scratcher, for lack of better words, was Houston. They kicked the shit out of Pittsburgh.
They sure did.
Because Houston's better than we think, and Pittsburgh's not as good as we think.
You know something?
Last 2 weeks, Houston's impressed.
You know something? I'll raise my hand. I thought Pittsburgh was going to be sneaky good this year. I thought Pickett was going to perform. He's struggling bad. He's struggling. I know he got a bad knee or whatever the case is, but he's struggling. He's really struggling. He's not seeing the field. He looks like a rookie with the deer with the headlights. He looks just like he's not seeing the field well at all right now. But Stroud, if we were to do the draft over again,
He'd be the number 1 pick.
he'd be the number 1 pick, right? Through 4 weeks, we look at it.
Relatively unknown wide receivers that are playing well.
Yes,
Collins,
yes.
Dell, is somebody? Is Robert Woods down there?
Robert Woods.
Yeah,
Robert
they got people that are getting the job done with a rookie quarterback.
They've got all number 2s basically, and they're all flourishing under a rookie quarterback.
And they got a decent running game.
Yeah. But getting back to Pickett, he had 114 yards passing. 114 yards passing. Derrick Henry ran for more yards than what he threw for. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'll be the first to say that I know we're only a quarter of the way through, but this isn't the start that I was accustomed.
Yeah, their playmakers are all good, and they had another year to develop. You got Najee Harris, you got Pickens at wide receiver.
Yeah.
They got Freiermuth at tight end. You know what they didn't address? That's I directly attributed to Kenny Pickett's success and the running game.
Offensive line.
Yes. That solves both those problems. Pittsburgh's best when they can run the ball over the years. Najee Harris can run the ball, but if there's no lanes, where are you going to run? You're running in the dead ends. And Kenny Pickett has shown the ability to get the ball. He did it in the preseason. Showed the ability to get the ball to the playmakers, but you weren't playing against the first-team defenses for that long. They need offensive linemen that can either open holes or pass block or both. And then I think the running game and the passing game get better.
Pickens had 3 catches for 25 yards. That's not good. It's not.
Yeah, you only got 3 catches, and he probably only had 5 attempts go to him, 5 or 6 attempts.
114 passing yards.
Yeah, I know. Their leading receiver was the second, the backup running back. 6 catches for 26 yards.
Those are short. 3 yards, 4
Dink
yards.
and dunks,
6
yeah.
times 4, 24.
It's 4.3 yards.
Yeah.
But I think their offensive line has to be addressed before you can expect them. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought they'd get a little bit better, but they didn't address their offensive line.
Yeah.
No big free agents, nobody in the draft. They need offensive linemen in Pittsburgh.
I hate to say it, but they might need change.
Mike Tomlin?
Yeah.
You know something?
Until he finishes under 500.
I see I see a lot of local Pittsburgh fans that want to be rid of him. But you need to be careful what you wish for.
Oh, yeah.
You can't end up with the Jason Garrett. You know,
Oh, you get
um,
like what the Bears did with Lovey
I
Smith.
was just going to
yes,
that stat because I remember posting it. I was
10
going
and
to say
7. 10-7, they fire him.
yeah, 10-6.
10-6. Yeah, he
And
was
look at
before
his,
the
his
17.
overall winning record.
Yes,
And went to a Super Bowl.
and went to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
And that wasn't good enough. And everybody else after him, John Fox,
Hasn't done anything.
everybody else,
Under 500 record.
all the people. And to me, that's the people running the team. Ryan Poles wasn't there. He came in after the Lovey Smith regime, I think.
Right.
He wasn't the one that hired those coaches. He only hired one coach so far.
yeah, they were talking about a lot of the quarterbacks that came out of college that went to them were just, they were good quarterbacks in college, and they, as soon as they hit the NFL, they were trash. They've been running through them like like
Justin
like I don't
Fields
know
is
what. Yeah, they were
You
talking.
right
They
here.
were talking about. They were like, pretty much all the coaches, pretty much, which was important. Which was, I forgot who was saying it, but all the coaches that they got were all defensive coaches. None of them were offensive minded.
Sounds like your boy Belichick.
They were. None of them were offensive. They were all their profession was being great defensive coaches, and they were brought over there. That's why, even think about it, right? When they went to the Super Bowl, they were good defensively. They were good defensively, but they were not offensively. They had struggled to them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
There was a stat saying that when the Bears got rid of
Lovey.
no the defensive line and that plays for the Chargers now, Khalil Mack and Rohan
Rohan Smith.
they got 3 wins total so far since they got rid of them 2
Those are two dynamic game changes on defense.
and they didn't want to pay him because they figured
Smith's
they could do
contract was
better.
up. His rookie contract was up. They weren't going to invest in him.
And
They spent too much on Mac and couldn't afford to keep him
they said they have 3 wins since they got rid of both of them guys.
because they hung their hat on that defense and they never improved the offense. They drafted Fields, but he doesn't have a true number one. Well, he does now, DJ Moore but
And
they
he
got
wasn't
no
even number
line
one.
also.
He
They're
wasn't
like
even number
Pittsburgh.
one.
Yeah, but I feel like they have the same issues as Pittsburgh. Now they got some playmakers. They don't really have a definite running game. They got a couple of backups, splitting time with Herbert and who's the other guy? The rookie there, Rokon Johnson. Or so, I don't know, but they don't have no protection either. Fields is running for his life, but they're telling him not to run. So last week he finally ran a little bit, and they put up 28.
28. They had a 21-point lead.
Well,
Yeah.
How do you lose a 28-point lead?
They had a 21-point lead.
Yeah. How do you lose that? Oh, you can't stop nobody.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I would not want to be a Chicago Bears fan.
I had
at this
Bears
moment.
fans at the beginning of the season
Yeah.
wanting to fight me because they said that Fields was going to win the MVP.
Because of the way he finished last year.
Yeah, well, the way it's
No.
deceiving because the way he finished last year, your expectations for this year were that much more. So you were like, hey, listen, just let's face it, this guy he ran for over 1,000 yards and threw for over 3,000 yards. So when you do that, you're expecting, the same, if not at least the same, something more. And you've gone south with that. You've gone in the opposite direction. But yeah, it's not a stretch to say that if you were a Bears fan that you're already looking for the draft. You're already looking for the draft.
But something? I want to ask you guys one thing. There was 2 games that intrigued me last week, and I want you to tell me which one impressed you more in the underdog role. The Commanders versus the Eagles, which was 34-31.
And overtime.
Yep. Or the Jets' effort against Kansas City.
Well, I'm
23-20.
not surprised by Washington because that is a divisional game. And let's not. So they played them 2 times last year.
Mm-hmm.
They lost one game in Philadelphia, and the other game in Washington. I believe they won on a last-second field goal. Yeah. Here we go again with divisional games. certain teams play certain teams well. I think the Commanders, when they play the Commodores, when they play the Eagles, they play them well. They play them well. And I'm going to say, we're going to talk about it, but the Eagles are coming up on a tough stretch. Everybody looks at the Cowboys. Oh, the Eagles are coming up on a tough stretch too, just as the Cowboys are, because they play the same teams. They play the same teams. All right. Their secondary is beat up. Is beat up. All right. Their front five is good, but if you can hold their front five, you can score a lot of points on them.
That's my point. The Commanders put up 31.
Yes.
And I was like, what allowed them? I said, Sam Howell's development has been
he was running.
From
he was running.
But then didn't they get a new offensive coordinator who's bringing out the best in Howell?
Yes.
So he's proven his worth at Kansas City. He gets some of that credit because everybody gives Andy Reid all the credit for being an offensive genius or whatever. Bieniemy was running that offense. Now Reid wants to get credit for being a mastermind on offense, and Bieniemy wants to show that in the right situation, I can make any offense better. And Sam Howell is playing so well. 31 points by a Commanders team that couldn't score nothing last year.
And
he scored 3 against Buffalo.
He also engineered the tie-in drive to go into overtime with a minute and 9 seconds to go. I believe it was like 70-something yards. I think it was like 73 yards. Barry's got it right. So it was, I want to say, in Philly. I want to say that it was a little over a minute left because I watched the rerun yesterday, but I was actually following it live while I was out in Dallas. It was a minute and 9 to go, and they actually tied the game. They actually tied the game on the final play of the game.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was a 2-point conversion at that.
No.
One of the games.
No, not that game. They were saying that. They were like, "Do you think he'll go for 2 points?"
Yes, that's right.
And he didn't go. He went. He tied it up. Now, hindsight, he probably should have went for it. Went for it because they each got the ball one time, and Washington didn't do anything, and then Philly came down and kicked the field goal. But yeah, that's divisional. So I will say this much. Everybody was, thinking that the Monday night game was going to be a blowout. And I have a football card to prove it. I won 4 out of 5 games last week, and I was waiting on the 5th game, which was the Monday night, and I have the proof that I took the Jets, then I crossed them out, and at the last minute, and I took Kansas City. I had Sunday night. Excuse me. I had the sneaky suspicion that they were going to play well, and I don't know if it were them that played well, or was it Kansas City's playing down, because Mahomes had 3 interceptions. And the interceptions that he threw were bad.
Awful.
They were bad. I mean, those interceptions look like something a backup quarterback just coming into the game and doing. They weren't even close.
The first one, did you read his lips? Throw the fucking ball.
It didn't even. Those interceptions were so bad.
Yeah.
They were over his head, over the receivers, underthrown by yards. And that was like the worst I've seen Mahomes look in any game. I mean, he looked bad in the Super Bowl, but not bad to the point where he was throwing picks. Bad because he was scrambling for his life, on a bad leg to boot. But I've never seen him play that bad. So I would say more the Jets. And with the play of the quarterback, Zach Wilson. He played well.
Like he was leading him.
He played well. Yes.
Like he was throwing the ball. He had some zip on
He got nothing to lose. He's probably a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Nobody thinks I can get it done.
The first 2 games, he looked awful. But that Sunday night, he was throwing the ball. Getting it there.
So the thing with me was he played exceptionally well. And he actually outplayed Mahomes. I seen a stat on ESPN that said that that was the first quarterback who actually outplayed him since he's been in the league.
I don't know. I think he got outplayed week 1.
No, I don't think he got outplayed. I think he got
Nope, you
outscored.
took away Kelsey. It's kind of hard to be yourself without your main weapon there.
Yeah.
Who do you got this week?
But nevertheless,
With Kelsey and with Chris Jones.
nevertheless, I would go to say that the surprise more was the Jets game. But like I said, I just think that
Both those games
Mahomes.
impressed me, the underdogs. But you know what I'm wondering? There was a lot of talk about a conspiracy theory at the end of the Jets game. Were they robbed?
That call it seemed ticky tacky to
The
me.
NFL didn't want
I don't.
the Jets to beat
I don't
Kansas
think
City. That's what I'm
that
hearing.
was a pass interference at all.
It seemed ticky tacky. It didn't look as if he grabbed him. It
No.
didn't look that like he hooked
Salah
him.
was going crazy.
Oh yeah, well he got his money's worth. The last with the last the final penalty. He waited. He knew he waited. But yeah, they showed it from all the different angles. It didn't look like he hooked him. It
And
didn't
the
look like
crazy
he
part about
grabbed
it
him.
is how late that flag came.
Yeah.
The flag came after the ball was already on the ground.
The thing for me is, it didn't screw up the spread because the spread was 10 points. They only won by a field goal. So to say it was like a conspiracy theory, I don't know.
Well, because the NFL needs Kansas City to be good, keep the ratings up.
But if that was third down, if they don't make that call, Casey punting.
They punt, yeah, they punt. But there's no guarantee that the Jets would have
No,
come
but-
down.
but-
and-
You took the mystery out of it.
Oh yeah. No, I know that.
It gives them better.
What
That was third down.
but you got to remember the series before that was a fumble. It was a fumble.
The Jets were driving.
Yeah, it was a fumble. So, and it was his fault. I mean, he just didn't get the ball. He pulled away too early.
Too early.
So yeah, one never knows. We don't know what could have happened. But I don't know.
Well,
I just think that Mahomes played so bad that game.
Yep.
He was horrible. He was horrible.
But I think that game's going to give them overall confidence and Zach Wilson confidence. And then Salah made the statement, we're taking the safety wheels off of Breece Hall, and we're going back to making him our featured back starting this week. If they're seeing he's ready to be in that role, that helps Zach Wilson out a lot because now you got a game plan for Breece Hall and you got Garrett Wilson on the outside. If Zach Wilson can just game manage and play anywhere close to he played last week, the Jets will be competitive again. Or they won't be as easy and out as people are thinking they are now.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, that's probably the best thing that they could do is put the onus on the running back and say, hey, listen,
Should have been doing that as soon as Rodgers went down.
but he got hurt.
Yeah, they were still bringing him back, and they didn't want to rush his injury because it was a major injury.
His first carry was what? Like 80 something yards?
And they got called back.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
Breece Hall? Nah. His first game, he had 3 carries for 100 and something yards.
Oh, no, that was his first game. I thought you meant his first carry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Because he broke it and then it got called back Sunday night or whatever.
Yeah.
So if I were the offensive coordinator, head coach, I'm you know what? I'm giving, I'm handing the ball off as much as I can until this quarterback's confidence comes. But with every game, I think he's getting progressively better. All right, against Dallas, he had his moments where he threw the ball well. His problem was he couldn't get people off his back. He couldn't get people off his back.
Pressured the shit out of him.
Every time as soon as he dropped back there, it was like he was running for his life.
Yeah.
So that was the issue. He had a couple of throws where he let it rip and it looked, good. But when you don't have time, I mean that's a tough one to get over.
Life
Yeah.
Football is time.
Yeah, a quarterback. Yeah, you need
Barry
time.
brought up another game that was kind of impressive too.
Colts.
Yeah, Colts were down 23-0 in the third.
Yeah.
And they were They were very close to pulling out that game.
They brought it to overtime.
Mr. Richardson looked like a season. He threw 2 touchdowns and ran for another.
That kid's he's gonna be tough if he can.
I downgraded his passing. Now I'm thinking he's probably a better passer than Justin Fields. They're both great athletes running the ball, but in the long run, he might end up being better than Justin Fields. And now Jonathan Taylor's back.
He has somebody
He reported to camp,
but he has somebody to throw it to. Justin Fields really doesn't.
He has DJ Moore. He has
Now.
Komet.
Now,
Yes,
but he didn't have.
Didn't have
Michael
last
Pittman
year.
is the best option for the Colts.
What do you think about are we a believer in Baker Mayfield? He's 3-1. They
He
routed.
doesn't have
They
the
route-
greatest, and he gets Cooper Cup back this week.
Yeah.
No, we
no,
don't.
no, no, no,
That's
no, no,
Stafford.
no,
Oh,
no,
no.
no. He plays for Tampa Bay.
He's
yes.
Stafford.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is 3-1, and they routed the Saints 26-9.
Which is a good defense.
Yes.
He does have 2 decent wide receivers.
Baker Mayfield, 25 of 32, 246 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception. That's 3 good games he's had. 3 out of the 4. He had 1 bad game. But for a journeyman, somebody who's been with 3 teams in the last 2 years, that they're getting some money, some type of return on him. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. Is it real or is it
Who they got this week?
the
Tampa
Saints?
Bay.
Excuse me, Tampa Bay.
They play. Are they off?
They might play Monday. Did they play Monday night?
No, they might be off.
Yeah, it might be a bye.
Oh, which is good for them because what's his face went down.
Yeah, I don't see them on the schedule.
The receiver there.
The leading receiver?
Yeah, he went down.
He got hurt?
Evans?
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I said, that's a surprise. 3-1. When we looked at Tampa Bay and we said Brady was going to be gone, we all put him in the Patriots stat.
Yeah. We're already trading Evans in week 1.
Yeah, we put him in the same box as we put the Patriots in. But no, he's proven that. Hey, listen, I didn't get drafted high for no reason at all. And he has the Bucks sitting at 3-1.
He has nothing to lose.
No, he does not.
Play your game.
He does not. So speaking of the Patriots, we won't even talk about the game because it wasn't a game, but they suffered not only the loss, but they had two of their best defensive players.
And they hang their hat on defense.
Judon and Gonzalez. One torn bicep, and one a shoulder. Both are done for the season. As if things couldn't get any worse.
That hurts.
If things, and so what do? They go out and they trade with the Chargers, and they go and they get their old mate, J.C. Jackson,
They didn't give up much to get him.
who wasn't they gave up a lot in his salary.
The Chargers
are responsible. The Chargers gave him a lot in signing bonus.
Oh, they give him signing bonus.
Yeah,
but
so
he's still
they're not eating the whole.
he's
big
still-
salary.
he's
No,
still-
5 years, $90 million.
The Chargers are taking up a lot of that salary.
But I think he got like
they
30 million up front.
they probably have to at least be taking up maybe a portion of this year, but still yet he's still going to be getting paid relatively well, which is un-Belichick like.
Yeah.
He does not pay his guys.
That's why he left.
Well, yeah, that's why they all leave. There's very few guys that have stayed. And the funny part about it is, we don't have to go to positional players. We talk about linemen. It's the same thing. Cornerbacks. I can't say wide receivers because they don't draft good wide receivers. Linebackers, defensive ends, mainly corners. Those were their guys, and safeties too. But yeah, it kind of bothers me because when you think about it, right, you see a key granted those are your best two players. All right, number one draft pick and your best defensive player. All right, the guy has, he's when healthy, he's a menace. But you see how quick that Belichick is, how quickly he goes out and he tries to patch up the hole. Why isn't this being done offensively?
He's not qualified to do it offensively. His
You have
offensive genius was Tom Brady.
you have a yeah well yeah you have an offensive coordinator who was supposed to come in and was supposed to be this quarterback whisperer for Mac Jones, and he's doing things that you do in your first year, not in your third year. Throwing across your body 60 yards across the field,
You
which
got away with one of them.
yeah, he didn't get away with the second one. We get away with the second one.
Nope.
And it's just one of those things. It's like, wait a second. And then if you watch the post game presser where they asked him, did you take Mac Jones out because of how poorly he was playing? No, I just took him out of the game because the game was already out of hand, and it was it's useless to keep him in there. So then they asked him in another form, well, was it because he threw interception? No, I just said that the game was out of hand, and it was useless to keep him in there.
Why is it out of
But it baffles me that we know Bill is a defensive coach. That's what he hung his hat on. He was a defensive coordinator for the Giants.
Yeah.
All right. Under
Parcells.
Bill Parcells. That's what he hung his hat on. When he comes to New England, he has the luxury of, Tom Brady falling into his lap, who is probably one of the most intelligent guys that ever, donned a football helmet in the quarterback position. As Steve said, you didn't have to worry about offense that much because he took average players and made them great. All right. You no longer have that luxury. All right. So now you're hanging your hat on a guy. What was he, a second round draft pick?
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
first?
No,
He was the 15th pick overall.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought he was in the second round, but it doesn't make a difference anyway. You're hanging your hat on this guy, and knowing Belichick's ways and how, just his ways, knowing the fact that I've been to 10 Super Bowls. I've won, more Super Bowls than any other coach, and I'm going to do things my way, regardless of what the outside whisperers are saying. And somebody on Facebook put, what do you think's going to happen with Mac Jones? I said, well, unless they lose all the rest of their games and they get put in a position where they could possibly go out and grab, two of the top three quarterbacks that are coming out this year, they'll probably ride Mac Jones out because he's cheap and Bill Belichick thinks that he could do the same thing that he's done with all positions at the quarterback position. I could, have somebody cheap and, just insert them and they're going to produce. Not the case. Not the case whatsoever.
And Mac Jones hasn't played the way he should be playing for a third-year quarterback. Well, let's not act like it's all his fault. You're not giving him no weapons, and you got a marginal quarterback. We don't know what you have in Mac Jones unless you have good wide receivers and a good tight end, and then you're still not producing. You're like, well, it's Mac Jones. But you're not even giving him anybody that you can hang your hat on that scares you on the wide receiver course. Who you worried about? Schuster Schuster, whatever his name is.
Yeah. It's as you said last year, they had a they didn't even have an offensive coordinator last year. They had I don't know what the hell he was. I don't know what the hell he was. That in itself should have been an indictment against Bill, especially after the first year that he had, which was, it seemed and looked as if he was going to be moving in the right direction of a good quarterback. So last year he takes a step back. and doesn't play well. In a quarter of the season so far, Patriots fans they're done with him. They're done with him. Everybody's just like they've thrown their hat in, and they're like, listen, he needs to be
McDaniels will be
gone.
back.
He probably will be. He probably will
He'll be
be.
back soon. Raider
I,
fans,
I
fans are already sick of him.
I will give him probably to the end of the year, and if they end up, tanking with 4 wins, yeah, you got to get rid of him. It's the same old thing, with all these Patriots coaches. Collectively, they're great. Once the Bill Belichick tree is horrible. Coaching tree is horrible. They can't go off on their own and seem to win.
Because he micromanages everything, and he's not giving them no responsibility to go out and learn how to do it on their own. It's crazy.
Yeah. So they like I said, they go out and they lose 2 of their best players, and it happened relatively early in the game. I believe Gonzalez was the second Dallas possession.
He's special.
Yeah, no, the kid is good. He's very good. And we don't even have to speak on Judon. He's a beast. Yeah. Now it remains to see what JC Jackson can come, because what he was doing in over in LA wasn't good at all.
Not at all.
He got all that money and he got benched.
Different system that to his
yeah.
talents.
So hopefully he can come back to the Pats and rekindle the magic that he had, which made him an all-star prior to him leaving to the Chargers. We mentioned it already. Bills cornerback Tre'Davious White out for the season with a torn Achilles. We also mentioned Colts running back Jonathan Taylor is back with the Colts. Also, defensive end Randy Gregory released.
Wait, where's your womp 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 womp?
Released.
5-year, $90 million contract to get released in 1 year.
Yeah. He got released. Wait a second. No, we don't want that one. We don't want that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't get nothing right. Him, Russell Wilson, the coaches, they ain't get nothing right.
So 50-50 is hindsight. If you recall, Dallas had him all but signed, and then they changed the language on the contract because he got the same amount of money that Dallas was going to offer without the language in the contract.
Which we
he didn't sign.
Well,
he didn't sign. He's been hurt. He's been hurt for 2 years. He didn't sign, and what do? We go and we draft Micah Parsons. So boy, was that a good. Thank you, Randy Gregory. Thank you, Randy. And the funny part about it is everybody's already making speculations that he'll end up signing with the Cowboys for short money. I don't even know if the Cowboys want him at this point because he badmouthed the heck out of him on the way out. He's like, I got my money. I ain't got nothing to say. I read a lot of reports saying
he's a bargain. They might give it a shot.
I read a lot of reports saying that the Cowboys would be the best fit for him. But listen, the Cowboys, that's their strong point right now is their defensive line. They don't, I mean, it's always good to have depth, but at this point, where would he fit in? Because the guys that they got on that line right now, they're dogs. And he's been nothing short of an injury, a walking injury. So I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't want him anyway. So also we mentioned that Cooper Kupp returns to the Eagles. So him and I can't even say that dude's name. What's the dude's name? Yeah,
Shaku,
PACU, I think.
Paku Nugui or something like that.
He set a record for first 3 games as a rookie. How many catches?
Yeah.
Yards.
Yep. So that could. So that brings us to week 5, right?
Big matchup.
We're gonna stop previewing the week 5. All right. And obviously everybody knows that the big game of the week,
Minnesota, Kansas City.
I was gonna say Bears Commanders.
Don't you guys wish, huh? There's a reason why it's on Sunday night. The game of
Done watching a good
the game of the week is going to be obviously Dallas and San Fran, and so I'm gonna put this out there right now. I like keeping it real. It all comes down to one guy.
McCaffrey.
No, it all comes.
Stop him. It's going to be a long day.
No, it doesn't come down to McCaffrey because McCaffrey, you seem to forget. I'll give you some history, okay? San Francisco has ended Dallas's playoff hopes the last 2 years. All right, last year was in the conference semis. All right, McCaffrey didn't even have 100 total yards. Okay, and
They didn't need
this. No. Hold on. Before you get ahead of yourself, they didn't need him because they had Dak Prescott, who threw 2 interceptions. All right, which basically ended the game. All right, the score was 19-12. 19
Is that the
to
game
12.
you couldn't get down in time to?
Yes, that was last year. No, that was 2 years ago.
Oh, all right.
They won 19-12 last year. If you told me that I'm going to hold San Fran to 19 points, a team that was high scoring, that won 11 straight games, you're going to hold them to 19 points, and you're going to hold Brock Purdy to 19 of 24 for 214 yards, and there was not one receiver that was over 100 yards or even close to it. I would have said, okay, Dallas is going to win, but Dak Prescott said, hold my beer. He said, hold my beer. He was 23 of 37 for 206 yards and 2 interceptions. And the 2 interceptions that he threw resulted in 2 touchdowns. Okay, so that's who they didn't have. All right, we can flash forward back to the wild card game. It was 23-17. All right, same deal. Dak Prescott throws one interception, one late interception, and has a fumble, which ultimately turned into 14 points for San Francisco. So, in moving forward, it all rests on Dak Prescott. If one of those guys happens to go off in the way of the running back or one of the wide receivers, I'll feel better. I'll actually feel better.
At this point, Ayuk's their best wide receiver.
Samuel was hurt. He has the was it ribs? I think it was his
I don't
ribs.
think he missed any time.
Oh yeah, he limited playing time last week. I think he only had 2 receptions. I know because I have him on my fantasy league. So he's been limited in practice this week too. But Ayuk had a breakout game last week. But like I said, I'd feel
Great season.
I would feel better almost if we were beat by one of those guys and Dak Prescott not pretty much handing the game over to them. Because you look at those games, you're talking about 1 possession scores, and nobody in I believe it was in the wild card game, George Kittle had 2 catches for 12 yards. And that was the year he was ripping it up. No, this was 2 years ago.
All right.
2 years ago when he was ripping it up. But yeah, it's just not one of those things.
Debo didn't have a catch.
Oh, he didn't have a catch. I thought he had 1 catch.
He had 3 rushes for 6 yards, not 1 catch.
Yeah. Well, they took him out the game early anyway, too, because the game got out of hand rather quickly. But the key to that game for me, it all comes down to on how Dak Prescott plays. It's no secret. Obviously, the Cowboys are having problems in the red zone. They've been in the red zone a gazillion times. Ultimately, that was their demise against Arizona. They were in the red zone 5 times, 8 times, and only scored 2 times. You can't kick field goals and expect to win. You can't kick field goals against good teams and expect to win. So for me, it comes down to Dak Prescott.
Where's the game at?
It's in San Fran.
San Fran.
It's in San Fran. The last 2 games have been in well, excuse me. I'm sorry. Last year's game was in San Fran. The year before, when they did the wild card game, it was in Dallas.
So you're telling me a top top-notch defense at home is going up against a not so top-notch quarterback.
So are you forgetting that Dallas doesn't have a good defense?
No, Dallas has a good defense, but I think that San Fran's offense is better.
Well, people thought that last year too, and
I
it
think
didn't work. I don't
McCaffrey's
think it
the
worked out
MVP
this year.
candidate right now.
Well, all right. So in the 2 games that he played against the Cowboys, he has done nothing.
Well, he wasn't acclimated yet. He's had a full year with them now.
Well,
Came over mid-season, late season last year.
he was ripping it up last year when they won the 9 straight games. He was ripping it up, and they totally shut that offense down. It for me, my take. I can't take away from your take. For me, it's going to come down to Dak Prescott.
And
I think
ability to stop
I
or
think
limit McCaffrey.
I think they will do a good enough job on holding him down.
So you won't have 100 total yards.
Listen, you're making the prop bets on the go.
Well, no, because I think
you're making prop bets on the go. I think they will keep him
way he
under.
rushes and
I
way he
think
catches.
I think they will keep him under control. All right, let's just put it that way. For me, it's going to come down to Dak Prescott.
And I was just trying to establish what's under control. That's why I was
The whole offense.
under 100 yards.
The whole offense.
Well, I'm saying McCaffrey in particular because I really think he's having a great year.
Well, I think I think you got to look at the teams that they played against too. All right, let's be. I look at it from both sides. Okay, the Cowboys are untested against a good offense. All right, because they played against, let's call it for what it is, teams that don't have good offenses. Now they did what they were supposed to do, with the exception of one team, Arizona. They pretty much smacked them all down. But now you're going up against a good offense and a good defense. Let's see what you can do. Similar to what Miami was. That's why I said we would address it later.
Similar to Miami, it's on the road.
Yes. So for me, you can only get away, if your defense doesn't come up with, scoop sacks, strip sacks, fumbles, returns, in the way of pick sixes, at some point it's not going to happen. At some point, the focal point is going to be squarely on the offense. And this is the premise of my whole point. If Dallas doesn't get the sack, fumble, running for 6 and the pick sixes, and however they, whatever they've been doing on defense and creating all the havoc with the offense, now it falls squarely on the offense. If the offense can get into the red zone and only kick threes, and yet the other team is turning the ball over and like they did last year, the turnovers turning into 7, then you're playing from behind. And for me, I think the defense will play good enough to keep those guys in check. But for me, I think it's going to be this right here, this game. Think about it. Brock Purdy undrafted. All right, Dak Prescott drafted.
He was drafted.
No, wasn't he?
Last guy.
Last-
Purdy
the
was
last guy.
pick of the
Oh,
draft.
yeah, that's what it is. Mr. Relevant. Mr. Relevant. So he was the last guy. All right, 7th round. Mr. Relevant. Dak Prescott, 4th rounder. Wasn't supposed to be where he's at, granted. But he plays for America's team. All right. Some people don't like that America's team. I won't get into it, but
Well, none of us are Patriots fans.
So but this is the thing. You can't continually get outclassed by a guy who is Mr. Irrelevant. At some point, you got to show up.
Yeah.
And this is going to go far because remember, Jerry Jones has already talked about giving him an extension. Giving him an extension so he could be locked up for at least 4 more years and potentially end his career with the Cowboys.
Thank you.
Tough thing to deal with.
So
I hope they do it.
So this game speaks volumes for him, because if you keep coming up short to someone who's in your own conference, then you might have to move on from him.
So I got an interesting question. Do you think the defenses will control the game and we end up seeing a lower scoring game than we think?
It's going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah, because both defenses are going to be really tough
I
to score on.
I don't foresee them. I don't foresee the score going over probably 45.
Oh yeah, that would be kind of high.
You know,
But I
I'm looking at another.
Yeah, being
I'm
17-10 or something like
I'm
that.
looking.
but-
Yeah, I'm looking at just the. If you look at the last two games that they played, they're low scoring games. They're not high scoring games. The defenses take over. It's a grind them out. Let's see who makes the first mistake type of feely game. And there's if you look at the last two games, there's been no big plays. The plays have basically come off of turnovers. Small drives, and then field position, and then that's it. There's really no big, 90 yards, 80 yards, or whatever the case is. It's just let's wait and see who makes the first mistake. We're gonna battle for field position. 1 or 2 touchdowns, and then everything else is off of turnovers. That's the way it's been, and I still foresee it being that way come Sunday. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if there's an offensive barrage in one direction. I will be shocked. Like I said, their defenses are similar. I will give the advantage to San Fran because Purdy has proved that once he gets in the red zone, they score. Unlike the Cowboys, who they get boggled down. The game against the Patriots, that game should have been in the 50s. But you kicked 3 field goals. They had the ball 3 times within the 15-yard line, and they had to kick field goals.
Now here's a legit question: is Dallas Lions healthy?
Yeah, they'll be healthy because
God was hurt.
they sat them both out for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So ultimately it turns into 3 weeks. Zach Martin could have played last week, but they held him out for precautionary. And Tyron Smith, he needs to be gone. He needs to be gone,
You
man.
think it's
That dude,
psychological with him? Or
that dude every year, he's like 6'19", like 400 pounds, and he walks onto the field and he stubs his toe and he's out for 6 weeks. He needs to be gone, man. He's just eating up their money. He's eating up their money.
Literally.
Oh yeah. All right, so we'll look at some other key games. Jacksonville, Buffalo. That game's being played in London early Sunday morning.
I'm expecting Buffalo to smack them around too because I haven't been impressed with Jacksonville this year. They haven't got it together. I don't know. I think it's their quarterback.
Jacksonville.
I thought Trevor Lawrence would be playing better.
Jacksonville plays well in London.
And that's a 9:30 game
that's
in the
London's
morning
team.
American time.
That's London's team. It's the game's at what, 9:30?
9:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Our time.
London,
Yeah.
Jacksonville's been out there all week, so
Yeah. They've got the most games in London. They started it off, and they're out there pretty much every year.
they play back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. Also, the black and blue game. All right, Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
I think
Baltimore's going to smack
them up.
Yep.
Think so?
Mhm.
Something.
And
I think
confidence is a little checked right now.
no. So this is where Pittsburgh fans will appreciate their coach. I think he's going to get them to the point where if they don't win, they're going to be competitive after the ass kicking they took last week. This is where coaching counts. All right. And I think the rivalry, the way that it is. All right. So to give you a little bit of history, I mean, I pay attention to these things. The last 6 games that they've played have been a touchdown or less. No blowouts. A touchdown or less. All right.
Pittsburgh or Baltimore?
I'm not sure. But it is a divisional game. All right. Another important game. Philly
And Pittsburgh.
So there you go. So Baltimore is favored by 4 points. And I guarantee you that spread is going to go down before Sunday because all the money is going to go is going to be dropped on Baltimore, and then I guarantee you by kickoff it's probably going to be 3 points. How about the Rams versus Philly? This is a trap game.
We don't know what to expect with the Rams.
They're looking better. I could say, you know something, and they're looking better.
Their offense is crazy.
This is what I was just gonna say. You're getting back Cooper Cup with the guy's name who I can't even say, Puka Naka,
I don't know
whatever his
who's
name.
guaranteed to play because they can act. They have to activate him within 21 days. They took him off the PUP list, but they didn't guarantee that he was going to play. They just have 21 days to activate him.
So if I were the Rams, I take him off the pup, and I wait to the last minute to activate him. You don't give Philly a game plan. It's that simple. And they are, if Cooper Cup were to come back and play Sunday, they have the strength where Philly is weak. The defensive, they have the wide receivers to go out there. So you have this rookie, and then Cooper Cup on top of that. It could be a
Yeah,
long
Jefferson,
day.
Atwell.
Yes,
Atwell,
it could be.
Well,
It could be a long
Their running
day.
backs are tough too.
It
Catch the ball out of the backfield.
it could be a long day for Philly, who just gave up 31 points, was it?
yeah, they won 34-31
Yeah.
against Washington.
So it could be a long game for Philly. I've been saying it, that this is a trap game, and Philly hasn't been playing as they played last year. They're not the dominant team. If you look at a lot of their games, they're just scraping by. You know, I know a win's a win, but in the fashion how they were winning last year as opposed to this year, there's a big contrast. So yeah, any other games you guys looking at? No, you're not.
I'm looking at my team as a measuring stick. Are we going to play with heart, or are we going to get blown out?
Well, you're playing Kansas City.
Yep.
Chances are, you might see a little bit of a shootout for a little while.
I just haven't been overly impressed with Mahomes this year, so I don't see Kansas City running up the score. But I don't know what Minnesota team is going to show up. Like, we just haven't looked good. But I think our defense is playing better than we're getting credit for. So I wouldn't be surprised with Mahomes not being as explosive this year. Our defense actually playing good, but the offense putting us in tough spots. It might be a little bit lower scoring than people think. I know people think Minnesota can score, Kansas City can score. That's one of those trap games for people looking for it to be high scoring.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we'll see. All right. So we'll just talk about Canelo Alvarez.
For a shadow box?
Yeah, we'll talk about it real quick and then we'll call it a night. So, I don't even know if you want to say a fight happened this weekend because
Sparring session.
It wasn't much of a fight. It was pretty much a shutout. I think he on the judges' card, I think third round.
One guy didn't even try to fight back.
Third
How
round.
do you win if you don't even try to be aggressive?
Yeah, it wasn't
I was
even
so disappointed because I thought with all the talk, Charlo would at least try to act like I belong, in this level of competition. And it was just the opposite. I think he hurt his career.
Yeah. So moving forward for Canelo, some names have been thrown around. Benavidez, obviously Crawford, the Bivol, and the other Charlo brother.
Yep. That's not going to happen.
No. But he just said I know I can beat him, like his brother said.
Why not secure another bag for the family?
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't fought nobody in almost 3 years.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, and moving forward for him, obviously you want to stay away from the guy that beat you. I don't foresee that as being a smart move. Stay lower, and you could probably have a better chance. But so out of those three guys, Benavidez, we know he's got a deal in line with to fight Boo Boo.
Right. If he gets past that, I think he deserves a shot at Canelo because his size and his power will match up. It won't be Canelo stalking down these guys that are a lot smaller. Charlo had to go up 3 weight classes.
Yeah.
Crawford's going to have to go up more.
Mm-hmm.
So the only fights that make sense is if Benavidez wins, or the rematch with Bivol, because he was a smaller man against Bivol, and I'm sure his ego's trying to say, I can beat this guy, but he didn't look good against him.
Yeah. Listen, we've learned that there's only so many guys that can go up in weight. And you have to be, well, no, going, jumping in. I think Pacquiao did it as time progressed. So it wasn't so hard with it. A lot of it came with age. So it was like, okay, I'm getting a little older. I can put on some weight and I can move at that with superior skills. And the way he fought, he was, Pacquiao was just, from round 1 to round 10, just, balls to the wall, relentless. But not everybody could go up, and especially like you said with Canelo, he's used to being that big guy. He's used to doing the, I'm going to stalk you down. I'm going to.
It's hard to go up. He found that out.
Yeah. If he's smart, he stays away from the big guy.
Yeah.
Just pretty much.
Is that Bivol or is that also Benavidez?
Well, I would stay away from Bivol.
Right.
Bivol's definitely bigger. Benavidez, he's obviously there. He's right there. He's not the smaller guy, but you don't want to have to go up. We've seen the fight, and he didn't look good at all. With Benavidez, maybe he can stand in front of him, maybe trade punches or whatever the case may be, but he's not going to be that guy that's getting pushed around as much. He might not be able to, to physically stalk like he does the other people, but even with the punching power, he's going to have to, he would, probably stay at a distance, cut off the ring, but not like he did to Charlo. He just walked him down, total disrespect for power, and was like, yeah, you can't hurt me. I'm not afraid. I felt your best. And you don't even really want to fight. So for me is he can go out. He can. Yeah, I don't even with. But the thing with Crawford is, Crawford has talked about, catch weight. I don't think that he'd want to do that. He'd want to come down. Because he's saying if you talk about Alvarez fighting Crawford, he was talking about, well, maybe we could do a catch weight. He's not going to want to come down. Why would he come down? He yeah, exactly, and he's the ultimate draw. Why would he have to do that? And as we just said, earlier when we were talking, $50 million. He's the one that's dictating everything right now. So why would you listen to a guy that that hasn't really had his last fight was his most prominent fight, just to come in and start dictating and saying catch weight. Yeah, I'm going. Maybe we can fight at a catch weight or whatever. No. You want to get paid? You come up and you see me. 3 divisions. That's way too much. But yeah. So depending on what goes on with Boo Boo, I mean, you can't look. No one can look past him. I hope the fight happens. But we shall see. Do not know. But basically right now, Canelo's calling the shots, as he has been the last 3 to 4 years. And guys got to come and see him because right now he's the cash cow. He's dictating everything. All the money revolves through him.
They better get it quick because I believe he's 33 years old.
Yeah. Well, so
he got about 2 or 3 more years.
The thing with him is if he's smart, you might want to finish out one more contract.
He's fighting at least twice a year.
But this is the thing, making $50 million a year. How much more money do you want?
As long, you know what it is? People have gotten real smart in sports now. So they're saying, how much is this fight going to make? And I want a certain percentage. Just like the NFL players. How much is the NFL money getting from TV contracts? That's why these contracts are huge because the owners there's no owners in boxing.
Yeah.
So they're getting the lion's share of the money.
But, $50 million, if you're making $50 million, all right.
So twice a year.
You're talking about $400 to $500 million in 3 to 4 years. That's not enough money. if I, if I know that I bought, I made that amount of money, and I've honored, the last 3 contracts, and no one is actually coming close to really beating me, or even like coming like, or even showing up. I'd have to think about, what, my place in history is lamented, and I've done well, both in the win column and in the dollar column. And I'd be like, listen, time to hang him up. And if he's smart, do it Pacquiao. I mean,
Legacy's
do it.
important to him too.
Do
He's already got the money.
Yeah. Well, if you're smart,
Whatever the best fights are out there, take them in the next 3 fights while you're still relatively
if
competitive.
if
Like
if you're
33.
if he's smart, he can do what Mayweather's doing. Make 25-30 million dollars for exhibitions. You still can make the money and not even have to work as hard. I mean, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways of making money. The stream is out there. But yeah, we won't know probably for at least another 6 months to 6 to 8 months or so.
Bubu and Benavidez ain't even.
They're not even signed.
Right?
Is it officially
I
signed?
thought it was December 9th or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure, but we won't know for at least probably another 6 to 8 months.
Because Canelo said he's not fighting again until Cinco de Mayo.
That's May. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's plenty of time for this Benavidez and Bubu fight to happen, and then you got 6 months before May comes.
That's exactly 8 months. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it goes. All right, so we'll end the night. We're gonna get back and go catch some football.
I'm curious to see. I want to see the Commanders play because I haven't watched them live yet, and I think for what we were talking about earlier with Howell and then Bieniemy, I want to see what they got to offer. I want to see the eye test on them.
Yeah, they're a scrappy team.
And Will Fields played the way he played last week, but that Washington defense is not easy.
They are. I will say this about Washington. They're a scrappy team. They get after you on the defensive end. They're not as talented in the back. When it comes to the back end with their back end, but they're getting there. They've been drafting a lot of young kids. They're getting there. They're getting their lumps in, and they're going to be there. When their back end can catch up to their front end, they're going to be a problem, because their front four are very good, and that's what's helping them now, is because you can rush 4 and drop 7. That's ultimately, and that's been their secret. That was their secret to beating Philly. We don't have to put all these people, and you get guys either underneath or over the top of an AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, and that's what they've been doing to keep it close. And still, yet on the other hand, so going back to the quarterback, he used his legs a lot against them, a ton,
Sam Howell, yeah.
a ton. I can't even tell you how many times that it was like 3rd and 9, and he'd get 3rd and he'd get 11.
I think because they weren't expecting him to run, or they didn't think he was capable. But when you're worried about Dotson and Samuel and a couple other people running downfield, he was like, "Hey, it's there. I might as well take it."
Yeah, and so that's what's been going on with him. They're like I said, they're a scrappy team. If you come and you don't show up, they'll get you. They will definitely get you. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be prepared for it.
I'd be curious to see how Justin Fields plays. That's what I'm looking, because I think Washington, they got some confidence off that game against Philly, and I think they feel like they should beat Chicago. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna take this victory pretty handily.
Well, we'll see. Thanks for everybody who tuned in, and as always, we do this every Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. And per usual, go to our website, and you can get the stream there, or go to wherever you get your apps from, whatever Play Store, and you can download WMB1 Radio. And before we get out of here, you got to tell them about the comedy show. Tell them about the comedy show.
We're a week and a day away, basically a week away. Pink and White Affair, breast cancer awareness. We got 3 great women entertaining us next week. But the cause is what I really want to talk about. All of us have family and friends that there's no way to avoid it. They've dealt with the struggle of battling this disease, cancer. And just for one night, we'd like to take care of them from the station point of view and try to get, as many cancer recipients there as possible. We've done our part and donated, like 10 pairs of tickets already. And now it'd be nice if the public can come. If you can't make it, there's other people we'd like to send to the show too. Go to our website, go to WNB1.com, purchase a ticket and put in the comments, donated for a cancer recipient. There's other people out there we'd like to donate tickets to. So if you have it in your heart, come on, New Bedford, stand up. It could be your friend or your family member that's going through this battle. Show some support, because one day we might need support. So go to the website, purchase a ticket, and we'll make sure that a cancer recipient, benefits and has a night out where they don't have to worry about the fight that night.
All right. With that being said, we're going to come to a conclusion here at WMB1 Radio, Straight to the Point Sports. Be sure to check us out next week. And, like I said, go and download the app. All right. We're out, and we shall see you next week. I shall see you tomorrow. All right. Mags in the morning. All right.
I ain't sleeping over.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull a card out and stay over. But we're out, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
WND1 Radio.